Mswatu inkosi ithula akayithathe akahambe nayo akayithathe yotinza bakewuni akayithathe
Make better money choices. Choose a bank that takes your money seriously. Business Watch is brought to you by Nedbank.
All right, 1400 hours. It's the 25th of February and it's a Wednesday. You know what that means? It is time for Nedbank Business Watch. Happy to host you on this program this afternoon. My name is Sifiso Malo and I'm with Longalela Magagula. How are you, Kujo?
I'm great, Mguni. How are you?
Doing all right.
Yeah, I'm great
complain.
as well. Yeah. All right. Good afternoon. Once again, thank you for tuning in. We are live on YouTube, on our page, Eswatini TV, and on TSTV as well, channel 286. Thank you for tuning in. This is Nedbank Business Watch. Today, we replay a discussion on overdrafts with Mtabula Dlamini, who is the Nedbank sales team leader at the Manzini branch. Overdrafts remain one of the most convenient and reliable short-term lending tools available when used responsibly. In our discussion, he talked about how having an overdraft account is helpful in case of emergencies. So do stay tuned for this interview later.
Also on the program this afternoon, a conversation that's set at the intersection of markets, consumers, as well as regional power dynamics. We want to unpack a development with far-reaching implications for trade and regulation across Eastern and Southern Africa. The COMESA Competition and Consumer Commission has officially launched its 2026-2030 strategic plan, and they call it a blueprint that could redefine how competition is enforced, how consumers are protected, as well as how markets behave across one of Africa's largest trading blocs. But strategy documents do not exist in a vacuum. We have a bigger question here. What does that plan really, what could it really change? How will it shape the work of national competition authorities? And what does it really mean for businesses and consumers that are operating within the COMESA region? To break it all down, Isaac Tawusha, the chief economist at the Commission, joins us virtually on the program. So do stay with us for that conversation. But also, still ahead, in less than a month, Eswatini is going to join the rest of the world in marking Global Money Week. But at the central bank here in Eswatini, the work of building financially capable strategies are already underway. And beyond the campaigns and the classrooms, the bigger issue is resilience. What is it going to take to raise a generation of young Emaswati who can make sound financial decisions in an increasingly complex economy? Yamashinga Mashwama, market conduct specialist at the CBE, will join us to unpack that. So a very interesting conversation ahead. Stay with us for that.
Yeah, for now, let's take a break. We come back with our business news.
Digital helps you make cross-border payments. Human gives you global specialists. Digital allows you to apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Human connects you to credit experts. Digital puts you in control of your money, while Human connects you to wealth advisors. Digital allows you to freeze, unfreeze, cancel, and reorder your card. Human gives you that personal touch. Digital when you want it. Human when you need it. Get the complete private banking experience with Nedbank Private Clients.
Welcome back. This is Nedbank Business Watch. Thank you for staying with us. And now for our business news.
Yes, on our first story, we look at what is happening at the COMESA, where the chief executive of the COMESA Competition and Consumer Commission, Dr. Willard Mwemba, has urged all businesses in the region to familiarize themselves with the new regulations. warning that failure to comply is going to attract a fine of 10% of that total annual turnover of the business across all 21 member states where it operates. Dr. Mwemba was speaking during an interview as the Commission continues to have key conversations around the new regulations for the COMESA market. Let's listen.
The consequences for failure to comply under this new law are hefty compared to the old law. The fines are very serious. So it would be my advice to businesses out there that they should behave when they are dealing in their business transactions in the market, whether towards the consumer or towards another business. They should behave because the cost of non-compliance is much higher than the benefit they are deriving from that bad behavior. 10% of their annual turnover. From this new law, you will recall that among the subjects that have been discussed here are the implication of this law on small economies, especially those that are geographically isolated. As you may agree with me, Eswatini is a member of COMESA, but it shares no border within COMESA member state. So clearly it is geographically isolated.
Different industry leaders from the COMESA region have shared how the COMESA Competition and Consumer Protection Commission regulations should be enforced.
The powers have to be exercised in a legal sense, in a legal manner, and the powers have to be exercised in a manner that is not arbitrary, unilateral. They have to be exercised in a manner that is transparent, in a manner that also affords due process.
Punishment should come quickly, because otherwise, when the fine is issued and published, the CEO will no longer be here, the General Counsel will have retired, the commercial people will have moved to another employer.
On another note, the COMESA Competition and Consumer Protection Commission announced a new strategy. The registrar unpacks the key objectives.
What is particular about this strategic plan is it comes when there are a lot of emerging issues across the globe, which is the digital market, emergence of AI, and environmental issues. So, and what is also particular is the COMESA Competition and Consumer Commission just had its new regulation, which addresses these emerging issues and among other things. And this strategy is more of a framework to implement this regulation, which addresses these emerging issues. And it unpacks what are the how it envisions or how it ensures that these emerging issues are addressed. And suffice to mention that this strategy underlines that there's need to cooperate with national competition authorities such as the Eswatini Competition Commission.
The COMESA Competition and Consumer Protection Commission says in this era of artificial intelligence and digital trade, they recognize that decisive action is essential. They add that the 2026-2030 strategic plan sets the new path for the new regulations, stronger consumer protection and fair competition, ensuring COMESA's markets thrive and innovate together. Reporting, Nelson Dlangamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Zambia.
Eswatini is stepping up efforts to safeguard its financial system, with the Central Bank of Eswatini training stakeholders on anti-money laundering, AML, and electronic Know Your Customer EKYC. The move comes as the kingdom works to strengthen compliance with global standards set by the Financial Action Task Force and regional requirements under the Eastern and Southern Africa Anti-Money Laundering Group. According to the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development's 2020 report on illicit financial flows, Africa loses an estimated $88.6 annually to illicit financial flows, which is about 3.7% of the continent's GDP.
In its 2021 Mutual Evaluation Report, the Eastern and Southern Africa Anti-Money Laundering Group found that Eswatini was partially compliant to the 40 recommendations set by the Financial Action Task Force, FATF, highlighting weaknesses in risk-based supervision and investigation capacity. According to the FATF's 2023 consolidated assessment data, jurisdictions with strategic AML/CFT deficiencies face increased monitoring, which can lead to reduced capital inflows and higher costs of doing business due to de-risking by international banks. The central bank says the training on anti-money laundering is designed to close regulatory gaps identified during mutual evaluations.
As we collectively work to enhance financial integrity and strengthen customer due diligence systems and also advance Eswatini's digital transformation agenda, your participation today demonstrates a shared commitment to collaboration, capacity building, and strengthening systems that support a secure and inclusive financial ecosystem.
Director of Compliance and Prevention at the Eswatini Financial Intelligence Center, Calvin Dlamini, says there is a need for an updated risk-informed AML strategy to enable financial integrity.
We will examine the state of our national risk assessment and sectorial findings. We will also explore, through FinMark Trust, the practical steps institutions must take to embed risk-based approach into their governance, customer onboarding, and compliance structures. This work is essential. An effective risk-based approach allows us to allocate resources where they matter most, not uniformly but intelligently. It strengthens regulatory oversights, enhances institutional resilience, and reduces opportunities for criminal exploitation of our financial system.
Regionally, SADC member states are under pressure to harmonize AML-CF2 frameworks as cross-border financial flows increase. Damola Olade, head of SADC Financial Inclusion Program at FinMark Trust, unpacks the requirements of the national risk-based approach to AML upon SADC member states.
So this then cascades down to sector analysis, because then you want to know which sectors are also driving some of these risks. And then at an institutional level, from an FSP perspective, countries also would require banks or non-banks to conduct specific assessments of their own institutions to know how these different levels of risks then apply to them. So from a general principle perspective, it's expected that countries in the SADC region undergo these steps as I've laid out to have a better handle on what the risks are, and also to be less draconian in the way in which they apply the principles of financial integrity as far as anti-money laundering, and to find a middle ground between that and financial inclusion, so we don't exclude people because of crimes that might be committed by people that might be actually in the upper echelons of society, for instance.
The United Nations Conference on Trade and Development warns that illicit financial flows significantly undermine domestic resource mobilization, with Africa losing funds that exceed the continent's annual official development assistance. According to the World Bank's 2022 analysis on the impact of grey listing, countries subject to enhanced monitoring experience on average a decline in capital inflows of up to 7.6% of GDP. Reporting, Notilis Tole, Smuva Shongwe, Ezulwini.
All right, and that's it for our business news. It's 12 minutes after 2.
We talked to Isaac Tausha, the COMESA Competition and Consumer Commission chairperson, about their competition commission that is happening there in Zambia. Stay with us. All right, welcome back to the program. The COMESA Competition and Consumer Commission for the years 2026 to 2030. The strategic plan there has been launched, and we want to understand what it entails and how it's going to shape the work of competition commissions in member states as well as the trade across the COMESA region. And to break it all down, we have the chief economist who joins us now via our video link, Mr. Isaac Tausha. Very good afternoon to you, Mr. Tausha. Thank you so much for making time. If you will, just unpack the strategic plan for us.
Thanks, Sifiso. Good afternoon to your viewers. I'd like to highlight that the COMESA Competition Commission 2026-2030 strategic plan, it reflects the aspirations of the people of COMESA, as it is a product of extensive consultation across the region and beyond. It sets a clear path on deepening regional integration, creating an environment where consumers are strengthened and more so competitive markets across the COMESA region. That includes Eswatini itself. It positions the Quadro C as a future-ready regional competition authority with effective regulatory powers and to safeguard consumer rights. It envisions the Commission to be a center of excellence for competition regulation and consumer protection. It has got 5 core values, and equally it is built on 5 strategic pillars, and it has got 6 strategic objectives. Let me give a little bit to your viewers, so in respect of the strategic objectives that the Commission strategic plan intends to achieve. There is the need to strengthen competition law enforcement and consumer protection, which is the major pillar of this strategic plan, and it focuses on timely decision making and enhanced investigative capacity, particularly on emerging issues like digital markets and stronger cooperation with the national competition authorities as well as other regional competition authorities. It also talks about promoting advocacy and creating a competition culture within the COMESA region, and this is on the basis of strategic communication, stakeholder education, and embedding competition principles within national and regional policies. And then the third one, it talks about enhancing institutional capacity. This is to strengthen the capacity of the Commission itself to deal with these issues I've highlighted: consumer protection and competition regulation. So that entails enhancing the capacity of the Commission staff and also modernizing the Commission itself through digitalization and robust internal governance. And the fourth one talks about strengthening regional integration. Like I said before, the Commission intends to have strong cooperation with the national competition authorities and other critical stakeholders, as well as to enhance harmonization of the regulations and laws in these economies. And then we talk about mobilizing resources to facilitate this process and also to ensure that the strategic plan is implemented. And finally, it also talks about facilitating research, innovation and market intelligence. This will help the Commission really to deal with the issues around getting or having evidence-based decision-making and economic research and data-driven competition regulation.
Yeah, we are aware that some of the biggest impediments have been anti-competitive practices when it comes to cross-border, as well as regional market distortions. Just how effective is this plan going to address that?
The COMESA Competition and Consumer Commission itself, being a regional organization, so I can tell you that it is meant to really deal with cross-border issues. And I can tell you also that the Commission has just launched its new revamped regulations 2025. And this plan actually came at an opportune time where it's going to emphasize and or functionalize the regulations. So it addresses cross-border market distortions robustly, and this is also reflecting the Commission's supranational mandate. First, it enhances cross-border enforcement by strengthening major control and cartel detection mechanism. That is very critical when it comes to competition regulation. It also ensures that the Commission has the capacity to monitor markets, because in there is mention of digitalization of the Commission. It introduces predictive analytics on anomalies and or detection systems that can allow the Commission to have early detection of anti-competitive practices like cartel, collusion, bid rigging, and abuse of dominance practices. Secondly, it institutionalizes joint investigations between the Commission and national competition authorities like the Eswatini Competition Commission, other regional competition authorities like EAC or ECOWAS Competition Authority, and or even the newly formed FCFTA Competition Authority. And third, the plan also seeks to eliminate market distortions arising from regulatory inconsistencies by promoting harmonization. Like I told you, that the Commission also will partake in ensuring that there's harmonization of national competition laws with the regional competition authority. And finally, I can tell you that the regulation that I've talked about have expanded the Commission's legal powers to come up with stronger remedies and sanctions, and this will effectively try to reduce and or prevent cross-border anti-competitive practices.
I mean, you do mention that the Commission is quite intentional around monitoring, around having the capacity, rather, to monitor competition. But, you know, what really satisfies me in that submission is the fact that you do take into cognizance the fact that your member states also do have the, you know, the capacity to have a harmonized competition law environment. But, you know, the conversation around balancing competition enforcement with consumer protection, especially in a digital and emerging markets. Just how far are you in terms of just responding to that with the strategic plan?
Thanks, Sifiso. So what I can tell you that is that the Commission on its own has the capacity to facilitate and assist member states in building their capacity, as in training their staff, training their board members. And these trainings actually takes place for both staff and equally for board members, and it also takes place for both competition and also consumer issues. And I can tell you that the Commission is trying to assist member states to domesticate the regulations, to assist the member states through peer reviews and also sharing of staff between the different member states. Like those who have got more experience can attach their staff to those with less experience. And in the process, that will allow the linkage of and sharing of skills among the different member states. And one other thing I can tell you, that in this process of ensuring that there is no anti-competitive practice, the ultimate objective of that is enhancement of consumer welfare. So there is a very interlinkage between competition and consumer welfare enhancement. So I can tell you that the two functions actually are very complementary to each other. And as much as you're enhancing competition regulation, you are also making sure that the consumer rights are enhanced in the process. So when you promote competition, consumers will have access to cheap, high quality variety of products.
Yeah. A conversation around accountability is very important in conversations of this sort. And I wonder, are the performance indicators as well as the accountability mechanisms that are embedded in this strategic plan sufficiently concrete enough to really ensure implementation? Because otherwise, what we are talking is just another conversation.
Yes, sure. So what I can tell you, that is one of the strongest features of this strategic plan is its monitoring and evaluation framework, which is framed in such a way that it ensures that whatever it envisages is implemented and the results thereof are monitored. So there is a full list of indicative metrics which shows the outputs that are supposed to be achieved, and it has got given institutional responsibilities, which division is responsible for what. And equally, there are review mechanisms quarterly and annually, and there will be a midterm review in 2028. And as I can tell you, this strategic plan has been extensively consulted to come up with, and also that it's going to be extensively shared with the member states so that they also equally can follow and try to emulate on the same process. So we can assure you that with this mechanism of accountability, this strategic plan is going to be followed to the latter, and it is going to be strengthened through internal audit and risk management functions. And there is also obviously the board oversight role through the Risk and Audit Committee, which will ensure that it is being followed to the letter. Thanks.
Well, Isaac, thank you so much for your time. Unfortunately, our time ends there, but that was Isaac Tausha giving us insights on the COMESA Competition Consumer Commission strategic plan that they have just launched. Stay with us. After the break, we speak to the Central Bank's Yamashinga Mashwama, who is the market conduct specialist, about Global Money Week.
Viewers of Eswatini TV in the kingdom and beyond. Eswatini TV is regulated by the Eswatini Communications Commission through the Broadcasting Code and Broadcasting Guidelines. Under these instruments, the station commits to broadcasting information and news that have been fact-checked, programs and content in respectful language with no elements of hate speech, violence or sexual activity. If you hear any unsuitable content on this channel, you have a right to voice your complaints with the station management. Should you not be satisfied with the response or action taken, you can escalate your matter to the Communications Commission at PO Box 7811 Mbabane. Call 2406 7000 or send an email to info@esccom.org.za. For more information, visit www.esccom.org.za.
All right, welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now, in less than a month, Eswatini will join the rest of the world in observing the Global Money Week. But with the Central Bank of Eswatini, that conversation is already underway to empower young people with the knowledge and skills to make sound financial decisions. Apart from workshops and campaigns, what would it really take to have young and financially resilient Emaswati? Yamashinga Mashwama, market conduct specialist from the CBE, is in studio. She's here to tell us how financial literacy can be turned to be a very evident economic participation. Welcome to the program. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. How are you?
Doing all right. Fantastic. Let's talk about, I think it's quite interesting that Eswatini, this conversation is already underway, but maybe let's premise the conversation by understanding Global Money Week that is run by the Central Bank right now.
Okay. So the Global Money Week is an event that is celebrated annually. It is internationally led by the OECD, where they issue the dates for jurisdictions to follow, and they issue a theme for each and every year.
Right.
So the aim of this event is to encourage or give power to the youth by giving of financial education by the theme that they use for that year. So as the central bank, we collaborate with a number of institutions in the country. It is actually locally led by the Ministry of Finance, which as a regulator under the ministry, we collaborate with FSRA, JA, with the students, enactors, tertiary students, and CFE, as part of organizing this event.
Yeah.
So the reason why, as you've said, it started earlier is because we've tried our best to expand knowledge on the event by introducing competitions that can run before the actual dates begin.
Yeah.
So that's part of the activities that we have planned for the event.
I think what really is interesting to me is the interest in young people. I just reflect on myself as a young person, perhaps not the most frugal young person, just a bad spender of money. Why is it important that young people be taught about financial literacy?
We believe they should be taught because they're already economic participants. So the fact that they receive certain income or money, you call it an allowance, to make certain financial decisions is already saying they're participating in the life of being an individual that is actually taking financial decisions. So from that stage, we believe that if we can empower them, they can also be able to take certain habits at that young age that they can live towards, you know, and become adults that are more informed, that make better financial decisions, that understand how to go about having financial conversations, from just that young age of saying, let's talk about the money that you receive, that 50 emalangani, that 10 emalangani, you're buying airtime instead of a sweet. Let's have a conversation about that.
Yeah. You know, I just wonder because young people, especially the ones that are growing up right now who are very vocal and very confident. You see conversations on the internet around, it's my money, it's my rules, you know, do the things that you really enjoy and your responsibilities will come later. Just make sure that you enjoy your money. What is the cost of not being an ethical spender to a young person who doesn't have maybe the responsibilities that the both of us have?
Okay, I think that's an interesting question.
Yeah.
For the impact that we want to impart is more on the aspect of creating a habit. So if you do not start practicing a good habit, it means in the future it will be difficult to bring it in.
100%.
Right. So if we're able to empower you from that young age to say, how do I budget? How do I save? And for the fact that you don't need to have 100 or 1,000 emalangeni to actually save. It starts with that 50 cents, you know, in that piggy bank. So from that, it's easy for you to always have a mindset of, oh, as much as I want to have fun, as much as I want to always be seen in a certain way in life, I must still have that pocket, you know, where I put in the few cents that I put in. So it starts with small habits that build up to bigger habits. So if we let that go, it'll be very difficult for you to then train yourself as an adult with more sums of money, whether working or even just scholarship allowance that you receive from university.
Atomic habits, I believe, is what the book nerds call it.
Yes.
I love that submission.
Yeah.
But what are some of the biggest challenges that we face as we impart this knowledge, especially to young people?
The biggest challenges is the reach of correct information to a young person. So the world we live in is very digital, and with the social media aspect of it, it's very quick for wrong information to be sent by every day. Yet for the regulatory space, the process of issuing information, positive information, can be a long time, such that by the time it gets to you as a young person, you may have made certain mistakes along the way. So I think that's one challenge that we continuously have to work towards, to make sure that we are ahead of the curve in the new age, in new products coming out, in new scams coming out, how we make sure that we keep abreast of those activities. And I think the other aspect is more the risk-taking. Young people are risk-takers, you know, so even as you come into the space of being a risk-taker, being free, how do we make sure that we can continue to guide you and give you also the information that will help you take good risks, you know, because risk taking can be a good thing in certain spaces, even in investment, for instance. If you're a risk taker, we'll encourage that invest, because there are certain types of investments that will be an appetite for your risk, you know, your risk level. And the other one is perceptions. It's difficult to change someone's perception when they believe something, you know. So I'll make an example that if I believe that I need to have a lot of money to invest, or that the investment products out there require me to have a lot of money, then it's difficult when I say, oh, you just only need 100 Rand to open an account, you know. So it's just trying to push against those barriers and being more loud in saying you can't do it, and putting that into action.
Now that we've gotten that aspect of financial literacy out of the way, quite critical, I should say. Let's talk about this very dynamic and complex world of financial literacy, and I just want to understand how far-reaching your approach to financial literacy is, especially in a world in Eswatini where the youth is plagued by betting habits, loans, and just, you know, they take risks that are not so smart. Yeah, so, you know, speak to me about that. Your financial literacy approach, does it really reach those heights where they understand now that, you know, I need to change my habits in this regard, or you just, you know, just teach saving only?
Okay. So in our approach, we try to use certain pillars, right? Financial inclusion is access, right? And awareness of the products that exist. Awareness, for instance, of insurance, the types of insurance that you can have as an individual. And then there's financial capability, right? And financial capability for us now speaks to, I have the knowledge, now I must put it into practice. I must make informed decisions, right? And so to that, we try to make sure that every time when we impart knowledge, it takes all of those pillars into consideration. 100%. Yes, taking all of those pillars into consideration. I'll make another example. You have access to credit, right? But now you do not have the capability of making an informed decision. So we come in to say, what information should I be aware of as I'm taking a loan? What information should I ask when I'm going to take a loan? So that aspect then brings into the aspect of financial capability and then responsible decisions. So we try to be holistic, and also we try to look at activities or certain financial elements that are taking place in the industry, right? Or even on social media. So immediately we see that there is, for instance, a pyramid scheme that has arisen. We try our best to target, you know, those areas as well, so that we're not just focusing on debt or saving, but we're focusing on you as an entire person 100%. And the access and information that you also have access to.
So pyramid schemes, online betting, all of those things, you are cognizant of all those things, and you're addressing it. Yamashinga Mashwama, just giving us free financial literacy tips. Even myself, I'm a better person than I was before we started this conversation. She's from the Central Bank, and she's the market conduct specialist. After the break, Lungalele speaks to Mtabula Dlamini from Nedbank Eswatini. They teach you about their overdraft product. Stay with us.
All right, so welcome back. You're still tuned in to Eswatini TV. This is Nedbank Business Watch. Thank you for staying with us. Mtabula Dlamini from Nedbank. He's the team sales at Nedbank Manzini branch. He joins us today to talk more about Nedbank's smart financial tool, the overdraft. A very good afternoon, Khosi. Welcome back. Thank you for coming through. So, yes, we're back again to talk about the overdraft account. What is an overdraft, and how is it different from a traditional personal loan?
Good afternoon, Tombeni. So thanks for the opportunity. May I take this opportunity to greet the viewers at home? And in terms of the overdraft facility, an overdraft facility is an opportunity which is extended to our client in terms of that they can be in a position that they can withdraw money that they don't have on their account. So it's a facility that is extended to the client whereby the client can access more money than he has on the account. So it enables a client to utilize the funds without having the money, but he has an obligation that he has to pay back that funds.
Yeah, we know that, you know, as adults we go through financial demanding seasons, such as the back-to-school season. How is this tool useful in such, you know, situations?
Okay, thank you for that question. The overdraft facility it gives a client at home who has a family and who has children who are going to school to access fund. We take note that as a Nedbank, you find that clients have challenges when it comes to paying back the school fees and in terms of budgeting and all the other elements that is involved in budgeting. So if you find yourself out of budget, and then we are saying, instead of being stressed further, Nedbank is providing this solution to our clients, and we're saying they can come through so that we can offer them this opportunity where they can access the funds at Nedbank.
So is it only for short-term cash flow challenges and unexpected expenses?
Yes, we encourage for short-term challenges that we are experiencing, and we are looking at a situation that because it's a short-term loan in a way, which afford you to be awarded to you for over a period of 12 months. And within the 12 months, you can make a decision whether you clear it or you can even clear it on monthly basis. But it is a short-term, and it is designed to cover very, very challenging situation that we are experiencing, instead of being exposed to the other situations that you can't even find another funds to pay back the situation that we are experiencing at that point in time.
Okay, so what are the requirements and who is eligible to apply for an overdraft?
All clients from Nedbank are eligible to apply for an overdraft, and anyone who has a pay slip who get paid salaries through Nedbank can come through Nedbank and be assisted in terms of being awarded the overdraft facility.
Okay, so how does it you know, work exactly? Do I need to have funds in my account, and how long do I need to be with Nedbank in order for me to be eligible to have this overdraft account?
Okay, our waiting period is that we just need one salary in your account. Okay. Once the salary has gone through once, then you are eligible that we can afford you an overdraft. However, there are elements where we do affordability test. Remember, we need to not to lend recklessly, so we do assessment on the clients, and once we see that the client is affording the overdraft, it is awarded to the client, and it is a solution that we encourage for clients who are disciplined, because it also needs discipline for an individual to work around it.
Okay, so let's talk about limits, and also let's talk about interest, because we know that anything that has to do with transactions has interest. You know, what is the limit firstly, and what are the interest that you concur when you have the overdraft?
Okay, when it comes to overdraft, we afford our clients at prime plus 10%, which is the current rate that we award to our clients, and that is the interest that the client has to pay. But this interest that we are talking about is annually, it's not monthly. When we are saying you are going to be charged an interest of 10% plus prime, is through 12 months, it's not one month situation. And it depends on the balance that you have in account. Like, take for example, if you have an overdraft of 10,000, you will, if you utilize only 5,000, you will not be charged the interest of 10,000. You will be charged the interest of the overdrawn amount, which is 5,000 at that point in time. So it gives you also an opportunity to manage your funds in that essence.
Okay, do I still, am I still eligible if I have a personal loan with the Nedbank? Do I still, am I still able to have an overdraft?
Yes, anyone who has any other facility in Nedbank, not limited to personal loan, even ABF and home loans, you are eligible to apply for an overdraft. at Nedbank, and you can be awarded based on our affordability test.
Okay, so we know that, overdrafts are useful, as you've just highlighted and explained, but also they can be risky if you're not a disciplined customer. What guidance do you normally give your customers before, applying and using the overdraft?
Thank you for that question. As Nedbank, we have an obligation to provide financial literacy to our client. So when we are servicing our client, we share information around those lines, the importance of financial management, because we literally put all our clients under the financial journey of Nedbank, where we then share information to them and they are in a position to understand how to manage their money.
Okay, so who's actually best suited to have this smart tool, Nkosi? Because as you said, it needs a disciplined customer, someone who knows how to maneuver with money. Who's actually best suited for this overdraft account?
I would say everyone who is a client at Nedbank is eligible to access this solution. And in terms of the fact that we don't give money recklessly, and then we engage the clients in terms of financial literacy, which then give us authority to say whosoever we afford this solution has been taken through and understand the importance of discipline. And then we will literally encourage financially literacy at Nedbank.
Okay, so as families navigate the back-to-school season, what steps should they take to ensure that this facility, the overdraft, still meets their needs?
Thank you for the question. Maybe just to add another light that we are currently running at Nedbank, we have clients whom we have literally done our assessment digital solution, where we share information to our client and say, you are eligible for an overdraft of 5,000, for example. And we are saying to those clients, if they are experiencing financial challenges, they can come through Nedbank. They don't need to go through the process of applying. Theirs is already ready to be dispersed to them in a form. It's a pre-approved overdraft. For them, it's just to highlight to us to say they want the overdraft, and then if they are saying yes, they will get the overdraft within a short period of time. And with the clients that is at home who doesn't have the overdraft and has not received the SMS, we encourage that they come through to the bank if they are experiencing challenges in terms of financial strains, and then they can come through to us. We do the calculation, and then we will then award them the overdraft according to their affordability.
Okay, so your limit is determined by your salary and your loans.
Yes, I wouldn't say it is limited based on your loans. It is limited on our algorithm that we use to do the test, the assessment for overdraft facility and how much you can qualify for. The only solution you can get is when you come through at Nedbank, and then we can do the calculation at Nedbank, and then we can then give you verdict of the application in terms of has it been approved and how much has been approved on your overdraft.
Okay, because the technology has taken over our lives. We do everything online. Can I apply for this particular tool online, or I need to physically visit your branches?
Yes, you can access our website and you can literally apply there. There are teams behind who are already available to attend to any request at Nedbank, and anyone anywhere can access that platform, and we can use it, and we can be assured that in a short period of time you will be assisted in a way.
All right. Can I swipe anywhere in the country or even outside the country?
Yes, you can swipe anywhere in the world, not only not in Eswatini, in the world, including Eswatini.
All right. So lastly, Nkosi, before I let you go, contact details in case there's more information customers would like to ask.
Thank you very much, Mtombeni. My email address is malamini@nedbank.co.za, and my contact number is 7802-2819.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you for your time, Nkosi. Well, there you have it, the overdraft. But for more information, do contact Mdabula Dlamini from Manzini, or visit their social media pages, quite interactive for the smart tool, the overdraft. Let's take a break, so we are going to manage. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. This is our final segment, the market analysis. I'm joined now by Sifiso Nsibande, Treasury Sales Dealer at Nedbank Eswatini. A very good afternoon, Sifiso. Thank you for coming through today. So today we're focusing on Trump's State of the Nation address and also his rejected tariffs. But let's just get into his State of the Nation address.
Yeah. Thank you for having me once again, Bruno. Yeah, so Trump is always making headlines. So with the State of the Nation address, obviously he was blowing his horn about all the things that he claims he has achieved since taking office. Amongst many things, he was actually talking about crack on immigration. That immigration has actually reduced because, he's been deporting what he called aliens, which is the illegal people that are in the country, which basically is attributed to the murders and all the crime that is happening in America to those people. But actually, if you think about it, even the ratings in terms of the polls, they're actually rating him positively with immigration. They're just not ranking him high on the other polls, but with the immigration, they're ranking him high. And then he also mentioned his basically what he wants to do with Iran in terms of not letting them actually have nuclear weapons. The discussions are ongoing, and that's why actually the oil prices and the dollar is quite jittery because there's a lot of uncertainty around what he's going to do with regards to his stand with Iran. So the talks are actually not actually giving an indication about where we currently stand, but at least the discussions and the negotiations are ongoing. He blew his horn about many things, really, but some are actually saying, no, he shouldn't take credit for that. And he claims that the economy is much better than when he actually first started. And one of the other things that he actually did also was to help the ordinary American citizen make mortgage affordable. Because what was happening is when investors invest in single homes, they actually cause the prices to go up. And then it makes the prices to be unaffordable. So what Trump did actually is to restrict investors in investing in single homes so that the ordinary American who's looking for his first home or her first home will be able to afford. So I think that is actually beginning to play out in America.
Yeah, and his tariffs being rejected.
And so his tariffs were rejected. The Supreme Court said it is illegal because he was actually using the International Emergency Economy Powers Act to actually implement those tariffs. So the Supreme Court said, no, you can't be doing that. But then immediately after that, he actually increased tariffs by 10%, threatening that it's going to go up to 15%. And that has caused further uncertainty to say, is what the Supreme Court has done going to stand by, or is what Trump is doing going to stand by? Which one of it is going to actually see the light of day? But I think the problem with that also is that if the Supreme Court judgment is anything to go by, it will cause a lot of suits because many will start asking for refunds for all the tariffs that have been charged all along. They will start asking for refunds. So many are going to start suing the U.S. government to actually request that, can we have some refunds for the tariffs that we've been paying since they started coming into play.
All right, just before we unpack today's numbers, let's just come back to our neighboring country, South Africa. We know that Minister Enoch Godongwana started tabling the budget speech at 2 p.m. So what do we expect from his speech today? Yeah,
so the budget speech started at 2 p.m. I think it's ongoing as we speak. Yeah. But I think we are expecting fiscal consolidation in terms of them trying to cut the budget deficit. There will be a cut by budget deficit. But we are expecting also an allocation towards the foot and mouth diseases, which is not just affecting South Africa, but even here in Eswatini, we are actually seeing the effects of FMD. So we're expecting allocation towards that. We're not expecting much in terms of tax increases, because with the GNU, the DA is most likely going to be averse towards tax increases. So we're not expecting tax increases. We're also expecting that the tax, the VAT tax minimum in terms of how much revenue you must make for you to fall under a VAT payer, we expect that to be increased as well, because the last time it was actually increased from 300,000 to 1 million was in 2009. And with prices having increased all along, 1 million is actually a small amount of money. So now a lot of other, even small businesses are now into that category. So we expect them to actually increase the minimum so that it frees the small businesses to not pay VAT, so that they'll be able to actually contribute towards stimulating the economy.
All right, so now let's just take a look at today's figures, numbers, starting off with equities this afternoon. What's happening there?
Yeah, so with equities, I'll begin with the S&P 500. The reason why we actually saw an increase, or rather a positive, going up in terms of plus 0.77%, was because of NVIDIA. NVIDIA is one of the largest artificial intelligence company. Okay. So there's a lot of information, there's a lot of debate about whether artificial intelligence is sustainable going forward. So investors are actually just monitoring the earnings report that's coming out from NVIDIA. So that's the reason why we're actually seeing a positive upward trend. And then the FTSE, the FTSE, it's just a couple of companies that are actually whose sales expectation came below than estimated, and that's the reason why it came down, because investors were sort of harvesting their gains. Okay. With the JSE is relatively doing well, even though it's a negative 1.3%. It's actually doing well because of the gold stocks, or the should I say the miners. The miners are actually doing very well. Gold also has become a safe haven once again. Okay. And most companies are going there because of the uncertainty that I've mentioned. So this is just a short-term jittery. Otherwise, the JSE is doing well.
Okay, so moving on to commodities this afternoon.
Yeah. With commodities, as I've mentioned, gold has actually gone up. I think when I was reporting last week, it was actually sitting at about 4,900 an ounce. Now it's sitting at 5,174 per ounce. And most analysts are actually saying it will reach $6,000 per ounce by the end of the year, because of so many geopolitical factors that are actually affecting or causing investors to be wary of what's happening out there and rather choosing to go for the safe haven, which is gold. So we are actually seeing that playing out. Whether or not the 60,000 will become something that will happen, it remains to be seen. But at least we are seeing it moving in that direction. Okay. Brent crude, because of what's happening in Iran. Iran is the third largest producer of oil, or what the States did in Venezuela as well. The price is actually going up and down, so it's a bit volatile, and so the price that we're actually seeing here is slightly below what we actually saw last week.
All right, and lastly, the currencies today. Yeah,
so the dollar is strong. I mean, the rand is strong as compared to the dollar, and actually surprising, because if you look at 15.91, that was actually, we're seeing on the screen. As I'm speaking to you now, it's actually strengthened even further because of the ongoing budget speech, yes. Right. Okay. Because positive things seemingly are coming out of that budget speech. So the rand is actually continuing to strengthen, because it's actually benefiting from the uncertainties, or should I say, the Trump effects that are actually taking place in the US. GBP is strong. Slightly going up because of a lot of companies that are actually listed on the London Stock Exchange actually released their reports in terms of the performances, and most of them were positive, and that's why we actually saw the pound coming out stronger. The euro, a couple of individual companies that are actually, like I said, their estimates came below expectations, and it did actually hit strongly, or rather affect the performance of the euro when compared to the rand. But also the rand is also strengthened by the factors that I've already highlighted, that all the reforms, because right now Gondwana is actually highlighting even the reforms in terms of electricity stability, which was better in 2025 than in previous years. And that's a positive thing. Investors are actually seeing that as a positive thing, and it's actually been filtering into the currency as well.
All right, thank you, Sfiso. Thank you for your time. See you again next week, Wednesday, for market analysis. We've come to the end of our program. Thank you for tuning in. Do not hesitate to visit any Nedbank branch in the country to find out more information on the overdraft account. We'll see you again next week, Wednesday. Have a lovely day.
Digital helps you make cross-border payments. Human gives you global specialists. Digital Digital allows you to apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Human connects you to credit experts. Digital puts you in control of your money, while human connects you to wealth advisors. Digital allows you to freeze, unfreeze, cancel, and reorder your card. Human gives you that personal touch. Digital when you want it. Human when you need it. Get the complete private banking experience with Nedbank Private Clients.
Make better money choices. Choose a bank that takes your money seriously. Business Watch was brought to you by Nedbank.